today I want to come on here and talk to you guys a little bit about a whole foods diet. Because I think that when we get into the summer season, which is typically a busier travel season for everybody, we tend to get away from cooking at home and eating at home. And I think that a lot of it is because of convenience. A lot of people are a little bit nervous about getting in the kitchen and what their cooking skills are, but the reality is that it's actually really easy and it can be really convenient if you plan ahead to eat a whole foods diet that is going to be so much better for your health no matter what season of the year or of life that you are in. And so let's start here. What is a whole foods diet? Because we just did a recipe a couple weeks ago on the app that was like a date night recipe for date night. But like, I think what happens on date night for a lot of people is that, and I did this with Chad for so many years, and back in my 20s I felt like garbage, and it was for a variety of reasons, including stress and over exercising, but a lot of it was because of all of the processed food I was eating. So like every time we would have a date night, we would go out and I would get pasta or some sort of bread or something that was processed. And oftentimes in restaurants too, they're using a ton of seed oils. They're using a ton of added sugars. You're choosing the items off of the menu that are like quote unquote comfort foods. And so they're packed with things like dairy. And you end up not feeling great and not necessarily even knowing that it comes back to that's really a huge part of the root cause. And it's not to say that you can never go out to a restaurant ever again. But when I made the transition from eating either takeout when I lived in New York or going out all the time when Chad and I first got back together and moved here for 4, 5, 6 years, for 90% of my meals they were either takeout or going out, to now 90% of my meals are cooking at home, meal prepping at home, making food at home, and 10% of my meals are eating out. And my ratio and my extreme doesn't have to be extreme. Like you could do 60-40. You will still notice a difference if it's just the majority of the time you are eating your meals at home. Whether you're traveling, again, and you have like a little mini kitchenette or something like that, or you are at home and you are just busy in a season of life, this is so important. So what is a whole foods diet? A whole foods diet is just what it sounds like. It is a diet where you are consuming food that is either from the earth, so fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, or things like meat, poultry, fish, things that are directly coming from the earth that are not processed. It's really hard at first when you first get into it, because the concept of not having those convenience foods that are literally all you do is open a package and put it in your mouth, that part becomes a little challenging because you have to put a little extra effort and energy in, right? To prep certain things, you have to wash your vegetables, you have to cut them up, you have to oven roast things. But if you can make a little bit of time to either go to the farmer's market on the store on the weekend, maybe an hour there, an hour to prep it all, and then you have fresh, seasonal, nutrient-dense food throughout the entire week, it will make such a difference in your health. Going back to what I was telling you guys about when I used to eat takeout or go out to eat 90% of the time, that was the time in my life where I felt the most bloated, where I couldn't lose weight, where I had tons of brain fog, where I was super low energy and my hair was falling out. And now I am pregnant and I have more energy than I could ever even imagine. I feel like my digestion, even being 8 months pregnant, is super regular, and when I'm not pregnant, it's super regular. I feel like I have the easiest time with managing my weight, when it used to be like my number one point of frustration. I love my hair. Everything is like so much better now that I'm not constantly consuming inflammatory seed oils, tons of added sugar, all of this crap all of the time. And so that extra energy and effort is 100% worth it in terms of how I feel consistently the rest of the time throughout the week. And so what I will say is, like, when you think about why you might want to do this and why you might want to make this change, one is because you are eating food with more fiber just naturally by eating a whole foods diet, you are going to have more regularity and your gut health is going to improve. So I was somebody with candida for a really, really long time. I had yeast overgrowth. I would get chronic yeast infections, but then I was also constantly super bloated. Tons of different foods would trigger me all the time. And I had the worst case of what is known as irritable bowel syndrome. I didn't know that it was candida at the time, but it was the constant between like diarrhea, constipation, back and forth because of this candida. And so when I started eating more fiber-rich foods, it naturally crowded out a lot of the sugar and junk that I was eating. And that naturally improved my gut health. It naturally just made it so much easier for my body to, one, have more momentum to move things like toxins through, and two, to feel more energized from the foods I was consuming. Because when you are eating a whole foods diet, you're not only getting more fiber, you're also getting more nutrient density. You are getting more nutrients from your food. Those nutrients are more bioavailable to your body. And so you're also going to feel much more energized. The nutrient status of something like a bowl of pasta is completely different to the nutrient status of some fish and some charred broccolini and some roasted potatoes. Like, you are gonna get so much more bioavailable nutrients from the protein, the fat, the fiber that is in that whole foods dish than that bowl of pasta, that your energy is gonna be through the roof. You're gonna feel it, you're going to be able to get through so much more work and so much more fun in your life if you are eating a whole foods diet. So the last thing that you want to think about, that I'm not thinking about being pregnant, but if you're somebody who's trying to manage your weight, you are going to feel so much more satiated and so much more full faster from a whole foods diet than you would if you were constantly eating takeout, processed food, things that are coming from a restaurant. One, because again of the inflammatory seed oils, so those are just naturally going to cause inflammation, which inflammation, we all know, is linked to all sorts of chronic illnesses, from heart disease to cancer to autoimmune conditions to diabetes. So that's one. But then two, if you're eating a whole foods diet, you're getting the healthy fats, you're also getting protein and fiber and carbohydrates that are complex, that are going to satiate you and make you feel fuller faster than, again, that bowl of pasta or that sandwich or that grilled cheese or whatever it is you're gonna get that's a quick find, or even like a Pop-Tart or something that you unpackage out of a box. You're gonna get so much more satiated more quickly, which makes it so much easier to manage your weight. So I think what a lot of people find confusion on is like, all calories are created equal. No, they're not. If you eat 300 calories of popcorn versus 300 calories of fish and broccoli and potatoes, you are gonna feel fuller for more hours than if you eat that 300 calories of popcorn. 300 calories of popcorn, you're gonna be hungry an hour later because there's nothing in there that's nutrient dense that is going to satiate you and keep you feeling full and keep your blood sugar stable. So there are so many benefits, again, energy, weight, mood, digestion, nutrient density that you can have from switching to this kind of diet, and it makes those like little challenges so worth it. Like that little bit of extra time that you're going to be spending this summer going to the farmer's market, you can make those things fun. Meal prepping, you can make those things fun. You can make those things activities that you do with your friends or your family or your kids. Actually, my girl who does my hair, I'm gonna call her out because she's the best. Her name's Layla. Her and her family literally get together on Sundays and meal prep together, and like somebody's making the rice and somebody's making the chicken and somebody's doing, like, everyone's got a little job, somebody's chopping the veggies, and it makes the time go by faster. They enjoy each other's company, and then they all have meals for their busy weeks ahead. So I thought that was such a cute idea and such a fun way to maintain your health and also like make it a social activity, which I think that's what a lot of people like think that is going to be a downside when they choose their health. It's like, oh, well, then I'm not going to have a social life. Then I can't go out. But it's like, you don't have to. You could literally go and do something fun like that with your family, and it can be just as enjoyable and social, and you're getting the benefits of both worlds. So if you're thinking about a few things, like I think a lot of people come up with in their mind like the reasons why they can't do something like this. It's like, oh, well, I can't do that because it's going to cost too much, or I can't do that because then I can't have a social life, or I can't do that because I don't have enough time. It's like, let's like break those things down, because you absolutely can. It's, do you want to? And do you, like, how bad do you want to feel better? How bad do you want to feel different? How bad do you want to feel good? And so if you're somebody who's like talking and thinking about the cost of it, there are so many options. You can buy things in bulk. That is absolutely a way to make eating real whole foods diet more cost effective. Go to somewhere like a Costco or one of those buy in bulk stores where you can get a ton of fruits and vegetables and things like that in bulk, produce in bulk, meat in bulk. That way you can, again, make and have these things. Like, yes, things go bad faster when you are, you know, buying real whole foods, but you can always put things in the freezer. Like, that's one of my favorite hacks for eating a whole foods diet, is things that you're not going to eat. Like, we have a bunch of fish sitting in our freezer right now from our favorite fish place called Seatopia, because we're not going to be here for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And so, do I want all that to go bad? No, it's tons of money. It's super expensive, but I'm going to be able to keep it all and then use it when I get home, and it's still good and fresh and amazing. So use your freezer to your advantage. That's the other thing. You can buy freezer produce as well. So if that's a thing that you're worried about, freezer produce is always going to be less expensive than the fresh stuff, and it's still packed with tons of nutrients. So use the freezer produce, especially if you're somebody who's kind of like on the go a lot and you're traveling a lot. The freezer is your friend. From there, if you're somebody who thinks like, I don't have enough time to do this, that used to be my biggest thing. Like, oh, I can just order takeout because I don't have enough time. Literally, everybody has an hour, especially on the weekends. You have an hour to go to the farmer's market, go to the grocery store, or if you don't even have that time, order your produce and your meat and your fish and your organic pasture-raised eggs on your phone. There's so many easy ways to get your groceries now. I like the farmer's market because you're going to get the most nutrient dense, most bioavailable, most seasonal food that you can get if you go to the farmer's market. That's why I love the farmer's market, because our bodies actually are in need of the nutrients that are available to us seasonally. And so if you can do that, that's probably your best option if you want to get the most nutrients out of your food. That being said, we can't all go to a farmer's market. We don't all have a farmer's market available to us. So if you order your groceries through Instacart or through Whole Foods, or you go to those stores, just make a little bit of time to go do that once a week. And then when you get home, that hour that you get home afterwards is dedicated to chopping, cleaning, washing, and prepping your vegetables, and if you need to, any sort of meats for the week. So if you're somebody who like works an office job, highly recommend baking a couple chicken, I don't eat chicken, but like if you eat chicken or a fish on a tray, and then putting those things into a glass container, and you have a couple different veggies, maybe a whole grain like a brown rice or some sweet potatoes, and then your protein source in the fridge, and you don't have to make them into individual meals right then and there. Wait until the night before or the day of, then choose the sauce that you want to choose. That way it's like you're not like eating the same exact boring thing every day. You can have variety, you can have options. You can make that chicken, vegetables, and rice into something like a stir fry and put some coconut aminos or gluten-free soy sauce on it. And then the next day you can use that same chicken, vegetables, and rice and maybe put some spicy tomato sauce on it. And it can be this like Italian type of risotto type dish. Like, you can use the same things and create variety and honor your cravings and what you're in the mood for while you're eating a real whole foods diet. So it doesn't have to be this thing where you feel like you're missing out or you're skimping out or you're not getting what you want. There are so many alternative ways to, like I said, honor your cravings, honor the flavors that you're craving. And that being said, your cravings, I think I did a story about this week on Instagram, can tell you so much about yourself. And so if you're craving a Big Mac and fries, that doesn't mean that you should go out and have that Big Mac and fries. That is not what your body is telling you to do. Big Mac and fries didn't exist when humans first entered into the world. Like, that is not what your body's telling you. That's a convenience food that has been marketed to you, that you are designed to believe that you want or desire. If you're craving, like, let's say for example, again, like fatty fried foods, that's a sign and signal from your body that you need more omega-3 rich foods. So you eat some salmon, you eat some avocado, you eat some nuts and seeds, and that craving, I promise you, will go away when you're giving your body what it needs. And I think that so many of us are not educated properly on what real nutrition is, on what we should be eating when those types of cravings come up. We're not educated on our physiology, on what our bodies needs, on what our biology is. And like, I think that if we were to know a little bit more, like another example is if you're somebody who's really craving sugar, maybe that's a sign that you need more carbohydrates that are complex in your diet, sweet potatoes, brown rice, things like that. Or maybe it's a sign that something's off with your adrenals, and so you need to rest more. You need more time to be grounded and to be in a state of peace rather than rushing and always working and always being productive. Or maybe there's something going on with your gut, again, where you have like something like candida or yeast overgrowth. So there's so many different things that your body can be telling you if you have these intense cravings, and rather than just giving into them right away, with loving compassion, asking yourself, like, what does my body actually need? Can I get a little more curious about this? Can I look into this a little bit more? Can I think a little bit more deeply about this? And can I give my body something that is a whole food source that is actually going to nourish my body versus something that is going to not make me feel great in a few hours? Because I promise you that Big Mac and fries is not going to make you feel great in a few hours. So with all of that being said, I think that going through those things, whatever it is for you, if you have some reasoning in your mind where you're like, I can't do this, it's not going to work for me, like I said, it's not, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough resources, there are ways around all of those different excuses. And you can make a whole foods diet work for you no matter what your budget, no matter how little time you have, if you really care about enhancing the status of your health and the status of your nutrition. And so what we're doing this summer is we are going to put together 10 days worth of summer dinner recipes, because I feel like that's where everybody kind of gets that resistance. Like, I don't really want to get in the kitchen. I don't really want to clean my kitchen. And we're going to put together 10 days of summer dinner recipes that you can go to that are less than 30 minutes to make, that are so quick, so simple, so easy, all made from real whole food that are going to nourish your body, energize you, and help you manage your weight and digestion through the summer. And so if you are interested in this, go ahead and click the link below and you can get more information on our 10 simple summer recipe program.